The video I'm about to show you is genuinely one of the most convincing and terrifying video footage evidence I've seen of a ghost or whatever this is. Check it out.
The fourth or fifth time I had watched the video, I noticed something in the corner of the room, which is actually my daughter's room. So I screenshotted it and I just zoomed in on it. My heart just dropped. I could feel my face, all the blood in my face ran. I mean, it scared me. It just looked like somebody watching me. I didn't sleep that night.
Here is a nice little screenshot of that in case you missed it. Yeah, that dude saw that in his house. Can you imagine seeing that? I would leave so fast, so fast. You would never ever see me in that house again, because that looks like a person with like a dead person. Like, I don't even know, but that looks like a humanoid thing, right? That's upside down. Like, I can't even look at it anymore. It freaks me out so bad.
Get ready with me while I tell you about the time I was a nanny for a kid who was genuinely possessed. First red flag about this child is that they had an imaginary friend named Toto. This child and Toto would hang out for hours talking to each other, whispering to each other, but as soon as any adult walked into the room, silence. As cliche as this sounds, this family had a tire swing. What is going on? This family had a tire swing in their backyard, and this child and Toto would hang out at the tire swing all day long. One day, this child comes home with a dead frog, says that it's a gift from Toto. I swear this sounds like something out of a movie. I made the child leave the frog outside until their parents got home, and apparently this really upset Toto. I know what you're all thinking, because I was thinking the same thing. This is just a kid with a very big imagination. This is where things start to get a little creepy. Parents had warned me that this child had a habit of sleepwalking, and if I ever caught them sleepwalking, that it was normal and not to wake the child. On multiple occasions, this child would sleepwalk to the chalkboard and draw weird hieroglyphic, satanic, illuminatic symbols. At this point, I was really freaked out. I brought it up to the parents and they said that it was completely normal. I decided to entertain the idea of Toto's existence just to try and get a little bit more information out of this kid. The first thing I learned about Toto is how she was an orphan. She had no parents, and apparently what happened to her parents is that they died in a house fire. So Toto was in need of friends, which is how she found this child, how she befriended this child. Now, it wasn't only the child who gave really creepy vibes, but it was the entire house. One time, the mom was working from home. I saw her walk from her bedroom to the child's bedroom across the hall. As I saw her walking, I said hello, but she did not turn to me. She did not say anything. She just kept on walking. Literally 30 seconds later, I see the mom walk from her bedroom over to the child's bedroom, just like she did 30 seconds ago. She turned to me and asked me what was wrong. Did not even know what to say. She could tell that something was very wrong, and I explained to her that I just saw her walk from her room to her child's room twice. She looked at me like I was the crazy one. Another really weird thing about their house was that one time I gifted them a plant and it died within days. Guess what kind of plant it was? A cactus. A plant you don't even need to water.
Some of y'all are saying that there's a disappearing bar in Louisiana that's there one night and then not there the next day. I'm going to tell you everything I know about it, but I'm really looking for other people to weigh in. If you know about this, if you've been there, to let me know what's going on, because now I'm curious. So what happened was last night I posted a story for my series Spooky Scary Storytime, which is a series where I share listeners' allegedly true stories about the creepiest or most unbelievable things that's ever happened to them. That story was pretty much unrelated to what I'm going to tell you now, but essentially it was about a bar that was in Louisiana. someone commented this, and I was confused when I first read this comment because I thought that she was the one that submitted this story, which I read and have had in my email and have been saving for a rainy day. Well, she comments back and says, no, I didn't send you a story. So that means there's at least 2 people out there who have had experiences at perhaps the same bar that's there one night and not there the next. So I went back to the story that's been sitting in my inbox, and it was actually sent by someone named Jasmine. I emailed her back. But anyway, I'm going to tell you her story, and then you all weigh in. And if you know about this place, please let us know what's going on. Jasmine says she works in events, and a couple years ago she was in Louisiana for work. She was working in Baton Rouge, actually, and she was like pretty new at her company, and she was pretty young at the time, and so she had to stay in the same hotel room as somebody else that she was traveling with. So her and her coworker are staying in this room, and they get a per diem, which means that every day they get to go out and spend money on dinner. Last night they're in town. When all their work is done, they go out to this brewery that someone suggests for drinks and some food. So while they're at this brewery or this bar restaurant, they meet 2 guys. And Jasmine has a boyfriend back home, but her coworker is really interested in one of these guys. They're about the same age, early 20s. Dressed nice. Jasmine says that they're not dressed in a way that anyone that she would know from home would dress. Like they're wearing suspenders, they're wearing like these cute little hats. She said they were really polite, really southern, and she was entertained by the way that they talk. Coworker really seems to be hitting it off with one of the guys, and they end up saying like, do you guys want to go somewhere that only the locals know about? We can take you, like we can drive you guys there. And Jasmine's coworker really wants to go, but Jasmine's like, I don't know, like we don't know these guys. And they're just like, no, come on, like it'll be fun, like you don't have to stay out late, like we don't have to do anything, like let's just go. You guys should really experience, Louisiana. Jasmine's coworker goes to the bathroom with her. She's like, please, can we go? Like I just want to, like, I don't know, like I really like this guy, it could be fun, whatever. And Jasmine's like, okay, fine. She sends her location to her boyfriend, so somebody at least knows where she's at. They get in the car with these 2 guys, and these guys start driving, and then they notice, like, as they're driving, that the city kind of falls behind them, and it's getting darker and more rural. There's fewer trees, more lights, more open land, but they're all talking and laughing in the car. Jasmine, after like 20 minutes, she's like, hey, how much farther is this place? Because she notices, like, they're not in Baton Rouge anymore. Doesn't recognize anything, not that she really would anyway because she's not from there, but she said they were taking like rural roads, but the guys seem completely comfortable. Jasmine's trying to play it off. She's like, yeah, I just don't know how late I want to stay out. And her coworker is like, no, it's fine, like it can't be that much further, right guys? And we're like, yeah, it's probably like another 20 minutes. So 20 minutes they pull up to this like unassuming wooden building. It's just standalone at the edge of what looks like a field, but there's a feed store across the street from it. You can see there's lights on inside, but it doesn't seem like a bar. Like there's no signage. It could be missed easily, right? Like it's clearly a spot that only locals go. But they walk in, the guys seem to know everyone, they're saying hi to everybody. And Jasmine notices everybody's wearing like long dresses, pleated skirts, button-up blouses. Men are wearing suspenders and flat caps, and they're dressed like these 2 guys that they just met. Pretty much immediately when they walked in, Jasmine says she felt embarrassed, like she felt completely overdressed. Her and her coworker kind of exchange a look, like, I don't know if we're supposed to be here. And also the whole bar is like dimly lit, there's smoke everywhere. There's no TVs on the wall, and people are drinking out of like absinthe rips. Like it is a spot, not something they're used to. People are looking at them when they walk in. Like they're definitely clocking them as like, you're not from around here. Nobody says anything to them. And the guys kind of are calming down the crowd. Like, come on guys, don't be rude. Just go back to your drinks. Leave them alone. So the girls go up to the bar. The guys are like, we got you. The coworker tries to order a Captain and Coke, and the bartender's like, I don't know what that is. And she's like, you don't know what Captain and Coke is? And he's like, no. And she's like, okay, well, how about some kind of flavored vodka? And he's like, no, we don't have that. How about an Sazerac? The coworker's like, I don't know if I like that. I don't know what that is. And he just says, no, you'll like it. The bartender looks at Jasmine, and he's like, you'll have the same thing, right? And she's like, I guess so. Guys that they're with pay in cash. They stayed for like 2 more rounds. Said she was just kind of sitting there texting her boyfriend. There was a jazz band playing. There wasn't like a DJ or like music over the radio or anything. It was a live band. So after talking to her boyfriend for a minute, he basically convinces her that this is a bad idea. He's like, you don't even know where you are. Like you should leave, get your coworker and call an Uber. Coworker is basically cuddled up to the guy that she's talking to at this point at the bar, and Jasmine kind of has to like drag her away. She's like, just exchange numbers. So she tells the guy, okay, like we have to leave. It's getting late. What's your number? And he's like, I don't have a phone. She's like, you don't have a phone? And then he's like, no, I don't have a phone. And Jasmine had already called the Uber, so they go outside, and she's like complaining this whole way home about, oh, if he didn't want to talk to me again, he didn't have to tell me he doesn't have a phone. But then they start talking about how the whole time they were at this bar, they don't notice anybody on the phones. It's just something that they clocked like after the fact, after they left. Also, she said the Uber took a really long time to get there. So anyway, they go back to their hotel, they go to sleep, and the next morning is their flight. But when they wake up, her coworker realized that she left something at the bar. It was some kind of work laminate or something that she had to have for work, but it was something that was replaceable, but something that she didn't want to go back empty-handed without because it would reflect poorly on her for work. So Jasmine's like, okay, well, what's the name of the bar? And her coworker's like, I don't remember the name of the bar. And she's like, oh, I don't either. Jasmine's like, no problem. I have it in my Uber history. Like, I'll just, we'll just call an Uber. We'll go there real quick, and then we'll Uber to the airport. It's pretty early in the morning, but she's like, maybe somebody will be at the bar. Like, I don't know. So they call an Uber. It takes a minute to get there. They Uber back to this location, and the Uber driver pretty much asked them, like, what business do you guys have out here? And Jasmine's coworker tells him the whole story, and he's like, I don't know of any bars out there. And she's like, no, we were at one. Like, it was really like old-timey feeling. I think it was just like a locals only spot. And the Uber driver's like, yeah, I don't know. I could be wrong. I've only lived here for a few years. So they're in the Uber for like 40 minutes. They pull up back to this address and there's no bar there, but the feed store is there. And they're getting around. They're like looking around. They're very confused. They even are like walking around the car. So they ask the driver, like, how common is it that Uber would glitch and like it would show up a different pickup spot? And the Uber driver's like, almost never. Like, you can see where you got picked up. Like, that's one of the whole security features of this app. Jasmine's like, okay, that makes sense. And also the feed store that they remember seeing the night before is still across the street. It's closed, but it's there. They get back in the Uber. They're like, would you mind driving around for a little while and just seeing if there's a bar around here? So he does. He drives around, but it's just fields. There's a couple houses out there, but nothing that looks open for business. Finally, they give up. Jasmine just convinces her coworker that she's going to have to go back to work without the work badge and just say that she lost it at the airport or something. So they do, and they go to the airport, and Jasmine ends up calling her boyfriend, telling him the whole thing about what happened, and he basically tells her, like, are you sure you were at a bar? Like, were you lying to me? It starts a whole fight because he tells her that he never even heard any music in the background. He never heard any people talking, and he was suspicious that she was actually at somebody's house. So that was a fight, but I guess they're good now. Anyway, she says, I still don't know where we went. I don't understand how this place was there one night and it was not there the next. I don't know if this is the same bar that the other commenter had referenced that I showed you guys earlier, because I don't have her story. But if you have ever heard of this, if you're from Louisiana, if you've ever had an experience like this, please weigh in. I would love to hear from you.
I'm 27, I live in the UK, and I've been a qualified nurse since 2018. I specialise in stroke and stroke rehabilitation, but I also work in a private nursing home from time to time to earn extra money. About 6 months ago, a new resident moved into the home. We can call her Jenny, for palliative care for her terminal bowel cancer. Whilst with us, Jenny found out that not only had her bowel cancer spread to her liver and lungs, but she also had brain metastasis and only had a few months left to live. After about 2 months with us, she started really freaking out when we would help her back to her room in the evening and get her comfortable for the night. She used to shout at us to be careful of the children, or don't fall in the river. When
Good
asked,
advice, to be fair.
isn't it? When asked what she was talking about, she explained to us she could see a river flowing through her room and lots of children playing in it. She wasn't necessarily scared of the children, she just didn't want us to stand on them and hurt them. The doctors and nurses all believed that she was hallucinating due to the brain metastases and the amount of opioid medication she was on. And we all made sure we didn't stand where she was pointing, so we didn't stand on the children she could see. A couple of months ago, Jenny passed away peacefully, and I hadn't thought about the children or the river since. 2 weeks ago, a new resident moved into Jenny's old room. We'll call her Sarah. I'd like to point out that Sarah didn't live here when Jenny was here. They've never met, and nobody would ever have mentioned Jenny to Sarah. Sarah's first week with us passed and she was settling in well until the other night when we tried to take her back to her room for the night and she refused. She said she was not ever going back into that room because she couldn't sleep due to all the noise, and she didn't like how close they all got.
Oh, gross.
We asked her what she meant, as the home was very quiet at night, and she said, Jenny. I froze. I again asked her what she meant, and she said, Jenny and the children make so much noise when they're playing and it keeps me up all night. I've always been a skeptic, but I can't see any other logical explanation for this. I've asked the other staff and nobody has mentioned Jenny or the children in the river to Sarah. Somebody please tell me there's an other explanation to this. What the fuck is going on?
Another scary story, and this one comes from Pakistan. So a couple weeks ago, I was using my phone at night in bed while scrolling through TikTok, and I heard my mom calling me from downstairs. I was kind of confused why she's calling me downstairs, seeing as it was the middle of the night. But I brushed off that feeling and I got up from my bed. While I was tying up my hair, I heard her call me again. But this time it gave me an eerie feeling and it sounded different, like it was more deep than usual. So I went to my parents' room and that's when I saw them both, my mom and my dad, who were fast asleep. I got really scared and then just went back into my room and started to read the Ayatul Kursi. It's a holy verse from the Quran to help with protection. But this person or spirit or whatever it was carried on calling my name. And every time it said my name, the voice would get deeper and louder. Eventually I started to cry because it creeped me out. But I laid down on my bed and tried to fall asleep, which I did. eventually. In the morning, I told my parents about what had happened, and they told me it's probably just your imagination. Seeing as I was awake using my phone and I must have been tired, I also thought the same thing. So the next evening after sunset, I went outside to go get my laundry from the washing line. But when I was putting my shoes on, I looked up and I saw a lady standing next to a large tree in my backyard. Oh my God. The lady was looking down at the ground. I tried to scream, but I couldn't. And I tried to move, but I was stuck. That's when my mom saw me from the kitchen window and came to me. But the second my mom opened the door, the lady looked up at me, and that's when I saw her face. Her smile was from ear to ear, and her eyes were pitch black. She had then vanished out of thin air. I ended up fainting, and my mom took me inside, and when I woke up, I told them what had happened. They got really worried and went to an imam. That's an Islamic scholar, and he leads worshippers in prayer. And the same day he came to my house and got a nail and read the whole Quran and all sorts of du'as, which are prayers, on it, and he nailed it into the tree. That very night when we were all asleep, we heard all sorts of screaming and people shouting, "Help, help," or "Help us," and other types of screams. My whole family heard it and got very scared, but luckily it only lasted about 5 or 6 minutes. In the morning at about 8 a.m., we invited the imam over to our house, and he told us that he had done a bit of research and he found out that that tree that was in our backyard was a very big home to all sorts of jinns. Oh. I got very scared, but he said that they had all left now and that we were all safe now. But I am still so scared till this day, as if it would happen again.
Never thought I'd be scared of a knock-knock joke, that's for sure. But after listening to this story last night, I had to go to the restroom, and the whole time I'm in the restroom, I'm like, no one better knock on my door right now. No one better knock on my door. So the guy gets woken up by his girlfriend saying, knock, knock. He looks at the time, and it is 3:27 in the morning, and he is so confused. So he's like, what are you doing? Why are you waking me up saying knock, knock? And her response to all of that is, knock, knock. And he's like, what the fuck? Like, we're asleep. Why are you waking me up trying to get me to play this little game with you by saying knock knock? And his girlfriend's like, just answer me. And she goes, knock knock. And he's like giving up, so he's like, fine, who's there? And she says, it's not me, don't open the door. Turns around and goes back to sleep, and he stays there like, what the fuck? So he ends up going to bed still, and the following morning he wanted to ask her why she did that, and it almost seemed like she was trying to ignore his question, but she ends up telling him, oh, it's just a little prank that I thought of, and like she leaves to work. Like she was trying everything to avoid the question for whatever reason. So they both go to work, they have dinner, and they go to bed, and again he gets woken up by her saying, knock knock. He looks at the clock and it's 3:27 in the morning, and he looks at her and says, you already told me this was a prank, why are you doing this again? Let's just go back to sleep. And the only thing she responds to him with is knock knock. So he's irritated and he's like, what is the point of this? What are you doing? Like, just tell me what's the end game. All she says is just answer, knock knock. And he's like, fine, who's there? And she goes, it's not me, don't open the door. She turns around and goes back to bed. So at this point, the boyfriend is angry because he's like, why is she waking us up over a stupid prank or joke or game when we both have to work the next day? So that morning when they woke up to go to work, he was like, you need to tell me why you're doing this. And she wasn't going to leave the door like she did the first night, not really giving him a real answer. So he's like, you need to tell me why. What's the end game? What are you doing? However, she gives him the same answer. It's just a game. It's just a game. Like, and he's like, why? And she's like, it's a game. And she just like leaves the house. So as you can imagine, they come home, have dinner, go to sleep, and again she wakes him up at 3:27 in the morning, but this time he's not answering. He's like, why are you doing this? What is the end game? And she goes, just answer, knock knock, just answer. And he's like, no. And she's like, answer, knock knock, answer. And he's like, I'm not answering, why are you doing this? So he's like, you know you're causing a problem in our relationship. This isn't a joke anymore. You're waking me up in the middle of the night when we both have to go to work. So no, I don't want to play your game. Why are you doing this? You're like creating issues in our relationship. And she's still like, answer, please, answer, knock knock. So he ends up saying, who the fuck is it? Like, who the fuck is at that door? And she goes, it's not me, don't open the door. She turns around and goes to sleep. So morning comes around and he wants to have a serious conversation with her. So he tells her, I don't know how or what kind of conversation I need to have with you to let you know that it's really messed up that you keep waking us up in the middle of the night and it's creating a big problem. And this time she was like apologetic. She's like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to do it. I just thought it was a game. He's angry with that answer because it makes no fucking sense where you keep doing this to him, you know what I mean? So he storms out. He goes to work and all day she's sending him text messages like, I'm sorry, and she's calling him, he's not answering. He's ignoring everything. He mentions that the last text that she sends him is like, I'm so sorry, I know that sleep is important, I promise this is not gonna happen again, please forgive me. But the boyfriend kind of starts feeling bad because they had never argued like this before, so for him to ignore her calls or texts made him feel a little bit guilty. So he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna forgive her and I'm gonna make her dinner because I don't want this to be like the end of us. So he goes home, he makes her dinner, they eat together, and they go to bed. This time, he gets woken up again with a knock knock. He glances at the clock and it's 3:27 in the morning, and he says that he wants to get up and just scream at the top of his lungs, like he wants to grab everything in that room and just fucking break it apart. So he says that he turns to look at his girlfriend that's probably next to him, like say knock knock, but instead she's standing on the bed looking down at him with the craziest smile saying knock knock. The way he describes this smile, I don't know if you guys ever seen that movie, oh my god, the movie Smile, okay, where it's like extended and it looks freaky. He's like, the smile was very off-putting. It was not like her normal smile. So as he's looking up at her with that weird fucking smile, he says, what are you doing? And in between that smiley face, she's telling him, knock knock. Oh my god, I got chills. At that moment, after she says knock knock again with her weird ass fucking smile, he says that her body started cracking and bending and it was like a scene from a scary movie, and it scared him so much that he jumps out of bed and runs to the kitchen. But once he gets to the kitchen to catch a breath, he hears a knock at the front door. When he hears the knock, his first instinct is like, who is it? And it's his girlfriend's voice saying, love, please open the door. Whatever is in there is not me. Open the door, please. Whatever is in there is not me. Open the door, please. Please open the door. Don't listen to the person that's in there. Open the door. He has no idea what to do because he's like, who's the real one in the bedroom, outside the door? But in that moment, he had no time to do anything because whoever was in the bedroom, his girlfriend, comes out with that creepy smile, running full force towards him. But by the time she's about to get to him, he faints, passes out because of how scared he was. He says that he wakes up 2 hours later and his girlfriend is nowhere in that home. He says that he hasn't seen her since. He even made a police report or a missing person report because he has not heard of her. He has not seen her. Like, she's disappeared and has never returned. Honestly, that scares me more because what if one day she comes back with her creepy ass smile? Can you imagine? Knock knock. Oh, I just scared myself. Anyway, what do you guys think? Because first of all, the first knock knock, if my husband woke up and said knock knock and I'm like, who's there? It's not me, don't open the door. Divorced, bitch. What the fuck?
Another scary story, and this one comes from the UAE. So when I was around 8 years old, my family and I, my family with 3 brothers and a sister, lived in a house in the UAE. We had just gotten a new nanny and she was from Indonesia. At first, everything seemed calm, but after 3 weeks that she had been living with us, she started to act weird. She became super furious at me for no reason all the time and would lie to my mom, complaining that I'd swear at her and throw things at her. I didn't even know any swear words, so how could I swear at her? And since I was young, my mom always took her side and nobody ever believed me. Aww. You know what? My mom used to do that too. She used to take everybody's side. If anyone complained about me, she would take everybody's side, believe the whole entire world except for me. And that creates a lot of self-doubt for people. It did for me. She realizes her mistake now as an older adult. One day out of nowhere, I began seeing a really tall woman dressed in all black. That lasted for at least 2 weeks. I remember clearly one day we were sitting there, my family was having lunch in the kitchen and I was in the living room and I all of a sudden became paralyzed. I thought I was just dreaming because the room looked like it had turned into hell. The walls were burnt and you could hear screams. And at the same time, that same woman appeared to me when I was paralyzed and told me to come to her. And about 5 seconds after I saw her, I passed out. I fainted. But my family didn't think much of it. Oh my God, you were only 8 and they weren't concerned? Like, that's too little to just faint out of nowhere. Anyways, 4 months later, my brother and I were on our way home in my mom's car from school. My mom gets a call from my sister saying she has caught the maid trying to run away from home. So my mom replied saying, "We're at the roundabout. We're about to reach home." And when we reached home, my older brother and I were told to go into different rooms while my parents and eldest siblings talked to the maid. My dad searched the maid's bag that she was running away with and found clothes, but they were not her clothes. It was my family's clothes inside the bag. And then there was a little jar, a container filled to the brim with blood that had writing on a small piece of paper that you see in black magic stuff. It turned out that the woman I've been seeing was a jinn that the nanny had sent to haunt me. Oh my God. Then my parents sent the maid back to Indonesia, but a few weeks after the incident, my sister immediately began acting weird around her family. She had developed major dark under eyes and she was pale. One day, she became a whole different person. She began sitting in my room playing the Quran and screaming loudly and reading the Quran loudly, like possessed loudly. She'd been saying verses from the Quran that she had never ever memorized and that she didn't know. But this would go on for 2 long days until my mom let her stay in her room while I went back to sleeping in my own room. One night, my mom told me she felt unsafe being alone with my sister because of how she was feeling. So I assured her that I would just sleep in her bed on the mattress on the floor. At exactly 3 o'clock in the morning, my sister woke up, grabbed me, and tossed me out of her room and locked the door. I was so confused, but I just went back to my room and went into bed, about to doze off until I heard a scream, and it was my mom's scream. It sounded like she was in pain. I ran around screaming and banging the doors to all my siblings' rooms for help. And when they came out, they tried to help me break my mom's door, but we were unsuccessful. My dad told my mom to open the door, and as my mom tried and finally opened the door, we could see blood everywhere coming from my mom. And in the corner of the room, my sister was crouched in the corner, giggling with an evil laugh. My family knew they had had enough and took her to a sheikh, which is like a Muslim priest. And he said that there was nothing wrong with her. Keep in mind, he was a young sheikh, very inexperienced. So we ended up taking her to the hospital where they diagnosed her with bipolar disorder. And when she came back from the hospital, the only person she wanted to be around was me. After a few years, my sister slowly began getting better, but something was still off. Every time she would call me into her room or when I needed to get something from her room, it always reeked of metallic, bloody smell. I didn't think much of it and let it pass. A few years later, my mom was on the phone with her friend about the sheikh that she saw in Egypt that helped my mom's friend's daughter since she was possessed. My mom knew she had to take my sister to this sheikh. My mom gave us no intel of what happened in Egypt, but she took my sister there. And when they got home from their trip, I asked my mom everything, and what my mom said made my blood run cold. She said that my sister has had a curse, black magic, put on her and was possessed since the time that we had that nanny from Indonesia. And if you remember in the beginning, the first part when I was paralyzed in the dark, that woman figure that kept calling my name and telling me to come to her. And since I didn't come to her, this whole time my sister had gotten possessed by that jinn and wanted to be in her different dimension and get into the dimension of this family and become a part of this family. So she had possessed the sister. Oh my God. So for like 2 years, the sister was diagnosed with bipolar disorder when she was actually possessed. This is why you have to believe what your children say. They're not always lying to you. They are telling the truth too. So if they feel something's off, maybe go on that hunch and like see what's up and do some more digging and research. It's your children, right? You're going to be attentive and like listen to their concerns, because that really sucked for her that she had to go through that for 2 years.
If it's nighttime, don't watch this. I'm serious. This one
petrifies me down to my core. I think it is the scariest thing I've ever seen unfold on TikTok. Today we are going to be talking all about this user's strange neighbor, and we're going to be looking at the footage. Gear up. Let's go. To start off, I'm just going to show you some footage, and then we're going to talk about it.
What you stand up there so far? Hey. Every night, this one goes on the bright, this one no one move.
So I just wanted to show you a little bit of what we're working with here. I'm going to be honest with you. I saw these videos a second ago. They've been going for a bit, but I didn't plan on covering them because I was like, that's probably a mannequin. There is a house by my parents' house where they have a mannequin outside, and they changed the mask on it, but they also changed locations, and it's horrific, but I'm pretty sure it's there to deter people from breaking in. So I assumed it was that situation. Because if I walked up to a house and saw that, even if I had the best intentions, I would turn my little booty around and go away. So I just assumed, but I kept watching the videos. I don't think it's a mannequin. I don't think it's a mannequin. But he has posted this woman several times. I think he has sprayed it with a water hose. He's, thrown stuff, poked it, hasn't moved. And that's why I thought it was probably a mannequin. There's one video. So I was scrolling around their profile yesterday. Not yesterday, it was a few days ago. But there's one video, and we're going to watch it. I do want to add in that they said this woman is only outside at night. They've never seen it during the daytime. And it's always in the same spot.
I guess it is not here.
So in conclusion, I don't think that's a mannequin. I hope at least the nightmares you have fun elements, because I know you're gonna have nightmares.